Hi everyone, I am echobash, and today I will be helping you to understand the difference between encoding, encryption and hashing. So I will clear your mental fog and the mist behind what is encoding, what is encryption and what is hashing, because I have seen even the experienced developers and coders use these terms interchangeably. That I have heard people saying that yeah, SHA 256 is an encryption, and yes, sometimes that base 256 is encryption or hashing. So I have heard things like that, and to my amusement, these things just need a clear distinction between these. And once we know that what each of these are born for, what each of these are designed for, then there won't ever be any problem understanding these and using it in our development. Okay, now the thing is, the irony is we use all of these beautifully in our code base, but given it at any time t, we are not sure that if this algorithm is given, then is this an encryption or is this hashing, whether it is an encoding. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So first thing first, we will be talking about encoding. What is encoding and why it is designed? What's its use case? Why at the first place it came into existence? Encoding is basically used for data transmission and storage. So all encoding does is takes a string or takes a plain text and transforms the string or plain text into some other format so that it can be safely propagated over the network. So why encoding? Why do we even need this? Okay, say suppose we have to send I have to send my profile picture, my image to my friend's website. I have to send it there. I have to send it over HTTP. But we all know that HTTP was designed to transfer text. Whenever the HTTP was designed, it was kept in our mind that yes, your whole existence is because you have to send text, hypertext transfer protocol. You just have to send text. But with time, we started sending images too. Today I have to upload my selfie on WhatsApp. Suppose today I have to send the image so on WhatsApp, on say Facebook and anywhere. So we ultimately have to send the image on the network. But we know that image is not a string. Image is a binary. Okay, so here comes the problem. Whenever you will try to send binary as a string over the network, over the HTTP, things break. Why things break? Because once an image is taken as binary, all we have is 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 sort of like that. Okay, but and when we transfer it over network, so at that time when we render it, we don't know at responses end, at the servers, that how do we render it. Okay, because ultimately the binary will be converted into a string since it's HTTP. Then when it's converted, then we don't get the original binary of it, rather the string. So here's the problem that comes. You try to send binary as a string, so it breaks. That's the reason. So what's the problem? This was the problem. The solution is that do something like this, that whenever you send a binary over the network, the binary remains preserved. The problem was like we had binary and we were sending it a string, and when at the servers or the receiving end, we didn't know how to process this, how to render this, how to make sense of this string, since it was not a string at the first place. Okay, so there came the existence of encoding. that it said, hey, listen, you are binary, okay, congratulations. What I will do, I will transform you into a string, a meaningful string, such that the other guy, the server or the receiver knows that how to decode this string back, how to make sense of this string, and then convert it into binary. So there is why encoding in the first place. So there are different n numbers of encoders can be there. Most famous is base 64. I hope it's clear. Okay. Then there is base 32, base 62. We have simplest URL encode. Okay. So there can be n number of encoders. So for the sake of simplicity and as a conclusion, what we talk about encoders, we will take an example of a string or say a binary and then see how it's encoded and how it's decoded back. So first thing first, since we are focusing on encoding, I am removing encryption and hashing for now, and there can be hundreds of encoders. If we understand only one, the fundamental and the idea and the concept of any one of these, then we understand about everything. So we will take the example of base 64 since it's simple. Okay, yeah. Okay, so say I have this plain text, say echobash. Okay, and then I have to encode it. I have to send it over network and encode it into base 64. So what I will do, I will use base 64 encoder. I will encode it. Okay. So, and once I encode it, I will be getting some string. I will be getting a transform string which should look like something. I could say anything, say empty, anything for x plus equal to. So the thing is, it can be anything. I have this taken this vague looking string hypothetically, but ideally it will always be a to b, capital A to b, oh no sorry, a to z, capital A to z, and then 0 to 9. So we have here 26, and then 10. 26, 52, 62, and then 63 and 64. So base 64, the name has 64 in it because it can be 10 caps, 26 lowercase, 26 uppercase, 0 to 9 numbers, and then plus and equal to. So we will get this string looking like this. Okay. So then again, now one more thing we have to keep in mind, that encoders are two-way. Encoders, a string, if it's encoded and sent over network, it can be again decoded and we can get the original string. Okay, so all we have to do, that similarly we had this guy base 64 encoder, similarly we will have base 64 decoder, base 64 decoder, and then we will send this transform text into this decoder, and we will be ultimately getting our plain text back. So this is how encoder works. Okay, so this is, again I will conclude to you, string, plain text, encoder, encoded with base 64 string, pass to decoder, we get back our plain text. Okay, so this is for a string. The same thing happens for image as well. Okay. So you must have heard anytime in your career that we have this PNG image. Okay. So you have used something like images.rc is equal to a.png, and sometimes images.rc base 64 and then base 64 encoded image. So then we have this PNG image, we again base 64 encode it. Okay, and then we send it over network HTTP. Okay, and then the server or the receiver or the other guy will basically for decode it and get the image, get the binary. So here we have solved the problem of how to send binaries which has of course special characters over the network. So for that case we use encoding. So one thing is clear for sure that yes, encoding is not for security, encoding is not for confidentiality, encoding does not hide anything, encoding does not make you safe. No, this is not the reason it was created. The only reason was created was for safely transmit the data without getting how to say without the data getting corrupt on the receiver's end. So this is all about encoding.